I guess we're looking continually to to build some depth in positions. Sean has been involved in the first 3 games he started in Italy, and in a specialist position like hooker, probably only 9 and maybe 10 as well, where you don't get guys playing other positions. You get props that sometimes switch sides, you get locks that can play both sides or in the back row. So we're just looking to continually build some depth and find out a little bit more about players that we need to work with towards what's coming up over the next couple of weeks and towards the end of the year.
Is this a harsh call, tough call on Sean though?
Well, no, my reasoning is what I said. It's to do with building some depth, and we know a lot about Sean. He's been in camp for a long time. He's been in the squad a long time. He's got a lot of caps, and it's an opportunity for us to see a bit more of other players. So that doesn't exclude him from next week, and it certainly doesn't exclude him from us going forward. It's about in a specialist position like hooker. If you lose a couple of players, then you obviously can't you can't supplement that with a player who's maybe playing in the back row, like players 6 or 7 or 8 and 6. You need a specialist player, and we need to build and keep building that depth and knowledge of those players in that position.
So you don't think it will hurt or harm in any way his World Cup selection?
Certainly not. No.
Just on the overall well-being, a number of players coming back in, CJ, Barry Ringrose, frontline players like that. Can you give us an overall update on the well-being of the squad that's been announced today, or all of those guys in selection?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, everyone. Have you got any specific players?
Gary Ringrose specifically.
Yeah. All the guys trained well today and came through training. So everyone that was named in that squad is ready to go and available.
What about Joey Carberry?
Joey trained today and he ran and conditioned pretty well, but it might be just a little bit too soon for him. Yeah.
Johnny trained?
Yeah.
And came through full session?
Yep.
As things stand, would you rate Joey Carberry at better or less than 50-50?
Not being a medic, I'd say he's probably unlikely to feature this week. He's probably recovered quicker than we expected, but we're probably, if it is 50-50, he wouldn't play a player. You'd need to make sure that they were far better position than that.
On the hooker, just given that it's a specialist, as you pointed out,
Yeah.
Rory Best now 35. How much role do you feel Rory has, and in a way, is that determining your need, to find suitable replacement?
We're not looking too long term. You can't look past the French game in that sense, but I think these games do give us an opportunity to look at that depth. There's other players that haven't made the squad outside of Sean, Rob Herring and Scans and Bestie. Then there's other players in the provinces that have been going pretty well and had opportunities over the last few weeks. So we're continually looking for the best fit, for the best combinations. But yeah, I think Bestie's playing well, and he's as a fit man for his age. Not saying that 35 is an age that you go downhill, but he's going really well. But we obviously have to be careful in that position where we're potentially travelling to a World Cup. We're going to know a little bit more about other players, and if we lose a player of Bestie's quality for whatever time it might be, then we have to know a little bit more about some of the players who we might need to bring in.
The guy Sean has been in brilliant form this season. He's been really good for Leinster.
Yep.
There did seem to be a feeling though that he didn't put out his best display against Italy. Was that the feeling of the coaching staff?
You referring to anything in particular?
Just his general performance
Yeah.
against Italy, did you think it was good?
No, listen, there'll be lots of things that players will be unhappy about in games. They're their worst critics in terms of their performance. I think Sean has gone pretty well. There'll be a couple of lineouts that went astray, and some of them are strategy. That there's so many elements to a lineout that maybe from the outside you look at it and go, oh, it's a lost lineout. But actually, when you look at what happens in a lineout, there's so many combinations. If you get one of those things wrong, one element of the lift, the jump, the throw, the movement, then it's probably the hooker that gets a little bit of the pressure. So I'd say we've been pretty happy with Sean and what he's produced prior to coming in and while he's been in camp. And again, I'll come back to it. It's about the opportunity to develop some depth in that position. And what happened in the Italy game was, I hold my hand up, a little bit of strategy that didn't quite go our way. The opposition read a couple, and that sometimes is the case. And unfortunately, when it's just looking at pure figures and what you guys see, you just maybe pick on one thing, and the line out is it's more complex than that.
But you understand why he might be seen as the fall guy, I suppose, for that performance.
Yeah, possibly, but I'd come back to my first point that it's a specialist position that we need to build depth in, and he's had a lot of rugby coming into this, played really well for Leinster, and performed well with us. So and like I said, we know a lot about him as a person, him as a player, and we need to know a little bit more about a couple of the other guys that we brought in.
Simon, just in relation to the dominance that the team enjoyed last year, that isn't coming to pass in this championship, has there been anything identified by the coaching staff as to why that's so?
There's lots of things that we could improve on. There's lots of things that we can get better at, but that's continually the case. Last year, we didn't think we were faultless in any display. I don't think you can ever finish a game and feel like that was the perfect game. There's always things that you're continually trying to improve on. When you get to a certain position, sides are also looking for maybe an access point into your game, and we've got to stay one step ahead of them. So we're continually looking to improve, build the foundations, keep building those constants in our game, but also build some depth and some things that we can stay one step ahead of the opposition when they're trying to knock us off.
Why do you do stranglehold though that you used to enjoy on teams where you would get into their 22 and invariably come away with a score? How come that's not happening?
We're making a few errors. We're making errors. We're losing a line out, and we're giving opposition the opportunity to play a little bit. We're finding ourselves in good positions, but maybe we're getting turned over. There's lots of things that happen in a game that last year we weren't perfect by any means, but we managed to strike from Jacob's try against the All Blacks. That was a couple of really good moments. Ball won, the play. Kieran Reid's on the floor, on the sideline. He's not up in the defensive line, and then we go. So when you look at it, actually, there's lots of things that could stop us scoring that try, and that's the difference. And similarly, there's things that have happened this last three games that have maybe not happened last year, where we've been stopped in certain situations where last year we might have carried on and got the opportunity to do what you're saying.
The message has been consistent though from the coaching staff.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So I'm sorry, it's not your domain, but the last three games against France, Ireland have scored just one try, although it's a good record against France. Has there been any discussion this week of just why maybe tries haven't been going in, or that may be a problem area, maybe it isn't? Or
No, I think they were last year in particular. They were very strong defensively, and I think they had one of the better defensive records throughout the championship. So no, I think we're continually looking for those moments, either it be set piece, whether it be kick return, whether it be turnover ball. We've scored some of our best tries over the last couple of years from forcing errors on the opposition. So we're continually looking for access points, like opposition are with us. But it's certainly not something that we're getting too concerned about in terms of the build-up to this game. We're trying to focus on what we can do really well, but not looking back at what we haven't done in the past.
just on the point, France are also very good at display and coming back, and Ramos scored well, and Max scored against Scotland.
Yeah.
Is that something you've looked at in terms of this week as well, and one of the French strengths that they can
Yeah, I mean, I think it was the case. Italy have been very good, broken field. Scotland, with the likes of Hogg and Maitland, and then Kinghorn that came on, good broken field runners. So, yeah, the French clearly love that type of game, and we don't want to be offering them up opportunities to counter like Ramos did against Scotland and get those opportunities to score. So, yeah, but that's not something that we're continually looking for to pressure teams and not give them those access points. When it's in a broken field situation, whether it be a turnover or a kick that hasn't quite gone to plan, then we clearly need to get back on point and make sure that we don't give them those opportunities. They're across the board. They're pretty lethal with Pinot and Uge and Ramos at the back, and then you've got players like Bassero, Fiku that could do some damage in the middle. So yeah, we're pretty focused on trying to limit the opportunities that the French get, certainly from those broken field situations.
And just on Robbie Henshaw and Dan Levy, will they come back into contention for the Wales game?
Possibly, yeah. Again, it's kind of making sure that they're right and ready to play and not compromising their return. It may well be that they don't feature, but we will assess that as we go along in this week, and then with the short turnaround the week after. It'd be great if we could have potentially some fresh bodies coming back in, but it might be too soon for both of them.
With Dan specifically, is the one injury? He hasn't suffered a new injury. It just seems he's had a long time.
Yeah. He's just he's just had his little niggles, and he's that kind of power athlete, and he like every player nowadays, they have to be right, and if it's not quite right, and those things continue, then they have to be looked after and managed properly, which Dan is really conscientious and does, and when he's fit, he'll potentially get an opportunity.
And is it a dead leg with Robbie, is it?
Yeah, and it's one of those ones that was initially he did it in training, and it's they can be nasty if they don't quite get right, and then it's it's sort of treated quite cautiously when they're quite deep, and unfortunately for Rob, he's just not quite getting it right, and the medics are working hard to try and improve that, but again, that might not happen quick enough